Hey guys, so you're probably pretty close to having this finished. You've got your composition along with a few things on your screen. I've only got one object into my composition right now, but chances are you've got 3 or more. And you're starting to be pretty happy with how it's looking. However, at the same time, you're saying, there's something that it's missing. It doesn't look quite right. I'm going to show you a few things that you can do to kind of spice this up a little bit and make it a little more believable. So if we take a look at this picture, the first thing that I want to show you is regarding this object that you put in. Now, right now I've got a UFO in there. I've cleaned up the edges. I'm thinking it looks pretty nice. But the problem is the edges are too clean. Now, usually when you take a look at something, you may not realize it or not, but as light hits the edge of objects, it makes kind of a little bit of a blur on top and around everything. And unless you're really looking for it, you probably won't see it, but it's there. So when you look at this image, it doesn't look right because that line is just a little bit too crisp. So what I usually recommend everyone does once they have their picture and they're pretty happy with how it looks, what you want to do is zoom in and kind of blur that edge a little bit. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways you can do it. I usually recommend you take the eraser tool, but use a very, very soft brush for the eraser tool, something along the lines of this. Okay. And then you can see that as I go along this edge, I'm going to actually soften that up and make it a little less harsh. And that should help us to make this look a little bit better. So through the magic of video, I'm going to soften up the rest of this, and then I will be right back. Hey everyone, so it took a few minutes and I've now gone around and cleaned up this edge, and you can see it looks a lot better, a lot more natural. But if you have any doubts as to whether or not it looks better or more natural, I'll pull up the other one and we can put them side by side, and you can see that, yeah, this edge, a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, a lot more believable than this one that was a little more hard and a little more, a little less realistic. Okay, so you can see that it does look better, but it's still missing something. I don't know. It still looks thrown in there. There's something about it that it's missing. And one of the most important things is we want this to really feel like there's an actual solid object. And if you take a look at these rocks that we have in here, it's going to give you a good idea of what I'm going to suggest you do next. And that's add a shadow. Now, all of these objects are casting light, are taking on light, and they're casting a shadow on the ground, but our UFO is not. And it's not like it's so far off the ground that it wouldn't do that. So what you want to do is you want to go in and take your paintbrush tool and go in and put in a shadow. However, before you do that, you want to also take a look at what objects are in the picture already so you have a good idea where the light source is coming from. For instance, if this is our sunlight and it's hitting the rock here, you can see it makes a shadow going this way. Okay, and all of these also kind of have their shadow on that side. So what I wouldn't want to do is I wouldn't want to go over here and put my shadow on the ground over here. Okay, because that would be the light hitting from the other direction. Instead of coming from the right to the picture going to the left, it becomes the left going to the right. You're also going to notice that this is really, really dark. And shadows aren't like that. They're not black. Okay, they have a little bit of, actually they have a lot of transparency to them, some opacity. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to take this opacity way far down. Okay, I'm probably going to take it down to, oh boy, at least maybe 15%. And then I will decide, this is probably about from here to here off the ground, and it looks like we've got a little bit there. Let's see how this looks. Okay, and if I need to, I can go and make it a little darker. And you know what? Like that, that's actually not terrible. That's something that I feel like I could live with. Now, if you feel like getting even crazier with your shading, you can always zoom into your actual object a little bit and put some shadow underneath that as well. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to very mellowly go in, put in a shadow. Let's move this over just a hair. So now you can see that not only does my ground have the shadow, but also my UFO does, so it really makes it seem like that bottom half of the UFO is darker because the light is coming down from on top of it, and you can also see that it's casting a little bit of a shadow on the ground. This is going to make your objects much more believable, along with going in and cleaning up the edges. So when you get to the point that you've got your 3 or more objects in, please go in there and clean up those edges like I've shown you how to do. Put in some cast shadows like I've shown you how to do, and if you need to go in and darken in a couple areas where the light would be casting on it and making a shadow on the opposite side, please do that as well.